Hey guys, it's Katie. I'm at work right now. There's no one else in the building right now, and I'm just kind of sitting here by myself. But as I was sitting by myself, I was watching this video by Chris Duckman, and it was basically like a rant on annoying moviegoers and things like that. And that was the part 2. I've seen the first one. The first one was really good. Mentions in the very beginning about like how. Okay, let me backtrack. Let me backtrack a little bit. I'm gonna put you down. Okay, I'm gonna put you down like right here-ish. Well, anyway, let me backtrack. Recently, I saw The Conjuring 2. I'm not the biggest... I mean, I watch scary movies. I'm not like a horror junkie. I'm not all that kind of stuff. I don't really like scary things. Just certain things. I only like... Okay, with me, I like movies that are good. I listen to reviews, I watch reviews, I do all that kind of stuff before I ever go see a movie. Just because I don't want to waste my time and my money seeing something that just isn't worth my time. Because we all have a finite time on Earth. I mean, spend it to the max. And plus, I have just grown up on good movies and good things like that because my parents are big movie junkies. And I want to work in movies one day. I have talked about this maybe once or twice, but I want to work with movies. I want to work on that kind of stuff. And actually, I've been thinking about like a major in journalism and stuff like that, so I can be able to go like screen and review movies maybe one day. That's a dream of mine. But he mentions how like Hollywood just seems like they try to be safe. They basically they're afraid of people like pirating movies and things like that, and Netflix, and how those are all popular. That's not going to make people want to go to the movies anymore. They're just going to be like, oh, I'll wait till it's on Netflix so you can see it, which I completely understand. That's a valid fear that like companies could definitely have and things like that. That doesn't give them an excuse to make a really bad movie. Okay, so after seeing The Conjuring 2, it was fantastic, let me just tell you that. I've seen a lot of horror movies lately, and if you know, there have been a lot of horror movies, like beginning of the year, every year, January is when like either like really bad horror movies come out. First week of the year, like what was it, The Woman in Black 2? I mean, The Forest this year I've heard wasn't as bad, but it still wasn't The Conjuring 2, that was good. There's like Texas Chainsaw 3D and things like that. And I mean, it's your opinion. It's everyone's opinion, see if they like it or they don't like it. But I feel like with everything that's in like movie theaters and stuff nowadays and what people are really making, it's just not good, and it's playing our minds into thinking it actually is good when it's probably not. Like, for instance, a movie came out, The Fifth Wave, for the book. Okay, that's just the most recent one I can think of. The book was good. I haven't read it fully. I've read some of it, and then I had to read another book, and I forgot to finish reading it. But I've heard it's fantastic, and I'm gonna keep reading it eventually. But I've seen the movie, and from a movie standpoint, and this is from someone who has never really read. I haven't read the entire book. This is from someone who hasn't read the entire book, so they're not that attached to the characters and stuff like that. But what a good movie should be doing is, even if you aren't attached to the book characters, you should be attached to the characters in the movie in general. Like The Hunger Games. Even if you haven't read the books, you gotta make, like Catching Fire, you feel for the characters. You feel all that emotion and that stress and anxiety. You feel it, and that's what you're supposed to be feeling. But with like The Fifth Wave, I didn't care. I didn't care. There was a really terrible romance. It basically reminded me of Twilight. And we all know how Twilight, like I read part of the book and I just couldn't finish it. It reminded me of Twilight and things like that, and that's not something a movie should be going for. Me as wanting to be a film critic, like I only go to movies with friends and my boyfriend and stuff. I typically choose the movie, because I want to go to something that's good. And what I basically do is I'll watch a review or read a review and see if people will be like, yeah, it's good, like go see it, and I'll go see it and see if it's really good for myself. But like one thing that I loved, like The Conjuring 2 did, and what a really underrated movie that from a lot of people, The Babadook, that was a good horror movie. I'm going to use the horror movie references for this. But one thing that I really liked that they did, sure, The Conjuring 2 had some jump scares and stuff like that. They didn't overuse them, or they weren't false, and I love that. And what was it? The Babadook really had like 2 jump scares, it didn't have anything else, and still with that, they weren't false. They were completely real. They were actually something you were supposed to be terrified for. But one thing that I know that both of those did is they showed you the thing at first, and finally when your brain processes like, oh, that's that thing that you're supposed to be afraid of, then that's when the jump scare happens. And it's like the tension, the anxiety. And I was talking to my boyfriend about this because we went to go see The Conjuring 2 together. And we were talking about it afterwards, and we talked about how amazing it was. Like James Wan talked about, since the whole story was like, the whole story, people don't know if it's a hoax or if it was real. So James Wan played on that, and what he did is there was a whole long scene. This could be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want a spoiler, skip through a little bit. He did this whole scene where Patrick Wilson's character, he is interviewing the girl because she's like the girl to see if like the demon will start talking to him or whatever, and she's sitting down in this chair, but the camera, so Patrick Wilson's staring at the camera, he's looking away from her, and the camera is focused in on him, and on the background there's her, and you can't see, like, she's blurry, and what happens is like stuff is going on to her back behind him. He can't see it, and because James Wan said because the story was so vague, he played on it in that scene. He made it seem really vague, so you don't know exactly what's going on, because that's how vague the story is. You don't know what's really happening there. And things like that, little things that with a little bit of effort, it makes things even better. It made it so enjoyable, and I've not stopped thinking about it ever since I saw it, because it's just so enjoyable and gripping. And like, again, like the Babadook, I'm one of those teenagers, like I used to go see movies, like just jump scare horror movies like The Gallows. Oh God. I saw that with my dad. My mom was on a business trip, and there's literally a scene where it's just a still shot of some guy with his camera, and then all of a sudden he jumps out, he's like, bah, and everyone freaked out. And honestly, it did make me startle and jump. It made me jump, but that's not what a jump scare should be. That's not what a jump scare should be. A jump scare should be something that actually terrifies you, or it actually scares you, and it's not like, oh God, like I don't know how to even explain it. Like, just horror movies nowadays, what they don't understand is that they're phoning it in. Most horror movies nowadays will just phone it in and do some false jump scare like that, like a cat jumping on a computer or something like that. Like that was in one of the Paranormal Activity movies, and I was like, really? But then like The Conjuring 2, what they did is whenever there was like something that happened that was supposed to be a jump scare and it startled you, they didn't even finish with that. Like they kept going. Like there was a scene, again, this may be a spoiler in case you don't want any spoilers or anything. It's the weekend past the movie came out, so to me it feels like it's okay, but in case you don't want a spoiler, go through. But like, there's a scene where like some jump scare happens to these two little girls. They go out to get their mom, and then their mom comes back, and if you think it's gonna be like one of those horror movies where like the mom doesn't see it but the kids do and stuff like that, like a normal horror movie, but then all of a sudden stuff starts happening again, and it just keeps going, and it's so terrifying. Things like that should be how like a horror movie is supposed to be. And directors nowadays, I feel like they're really just phoning it in for both the money and to keep people going to the movie theaters. But the more that you keep phoning it in this way, the more that you're gonna lose people's attention, because they're all gonna be like, yep, seen that before, I've seen that before, and I've seen that before. You need to start. I feel like, I know it's really hard making a movie. I know how hard it is making a movie. I've tried to start making my own. I've actually written a screenplay, part of a screenplay for my own one day. Like a story in mind that I want to do one day, and I started writing it when I was a sophomore in high school, but one day I want to be able to screenwrite maybe, or direct my own movie and things like that. But like, one of the things I know that if I were to ever make like a horror movie is that jump scares have to be actual, like real. That's how you're gonna get people to come in. That's how you're gonna get people to actually, enjoy it more, and not just be like, oh, well that was fun, and then just want to do it for giggles. I mean, that's just a bit of a rant, because like, I don't even know. I feel like Chris Stuckman was completely right when he's like, he did a whole video about like the problem with horror movies today, and he mentioned, he was just like, you have to create the tension for actual tension. You can't just create tension and then let the audience like blow it all away through like a little jump scare and then expect them to have like tension later on. It doesn't work like that. And I'll put the link in the below. Maybe I might put the link in the below. If I forget, I'm sorry. But look this a video up. Chris Stuckman, he's one of my favorite movie reviewers on YouTube. He knows what real cinema is, and he has a video all about that and like problem with horror movies, and I really love that video to death. And I don't know, I had to rant about that because I've been thinking about that in The Conjuring 2 a lot lately, and it's been like the movie that stuck with me, and that's how a real movie should be. That's a real horror movie should be. Like, if you're gonna make directors and screenwriters and people out there, if you're listening to me, that's what a real horror movie should be like. It shouldn't just be like, oh, jump scare, okay, that's fun. It shouldn't be just like looking up here, wah, and it's just like a person's face or like those hollowed out faces. It shouldn't be like that. Make it actually something scary. Like, that's one reason I love James Wan as a director, because I mean, he's doing a movie coming out called Lights Out, and I think it looks great. Like, it looks like a great movie because it's playing on the whole fact like kids are afraid of the dark and people are afraid of the dark, and it's playing on that whole thing. It's like, I don't know, it's more psychological, and that's what something should be. You should make it more psychological, not just like in your face. If that made sense. That was just a little bit of rant I needed to let that rant out in my life, because that's what I've been thinking about lately, and it's just directors, if you're listening out here, go watch that Chris Stuckman video. He explains it a lot better than I do, but I just needed to rant for a little bit, and I hope you guys like that. Okay. Promise I have a better video for you guys coming up soon, but yeah. So comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will see you guys later.